This is my A-2000 stereo tape deck, which I recently repaired and cleaned up, and it's working quite nicely actually. However, it does have worn heads, but it still plays okay, so I'm not too worried about that. I've got it for a cheap price, so I'm not going to throw any more money at it if I can help it. But one thing I've noticed is that both of these reel motors are quite loose and sloppy, and I'd like to see if I can possibly repair them without going and buying off eBay or something second-hand, some new second-hand motors. So I'm just going to pull apart, say, this one here, take it out and just have a look at the motor to see if I can do anything about it. What I don't like about these machines is they're so heavy. It's being held on by 4 screws, but also the wiring goes off. There's no connector, it's hardwired, so that's a pain. I've noticed that the front bearing's not too bad, it's the back one. I think the easiest thing is to actually undo it here right now, not actually undo the wiring. We'll see how we go. Right, now as far as I can tell, it's open from the front. There's 4 little screws. Okay, right. Got all 4 loose now. Okay, so well, that's interesting. I thought it was going to be a sintered bronze shaft hole, but no, it's not. Actually, what it is on the end of the shaft here is like a ball. There's a few things here, but there's the little felt pad, which I assume is for holding oil. But the thing is, it actually sits on this sort of brass ball. And that means that down in here, where it sits on, is actually the bearing. Now, does that mean, hang on, yeah, no, this brass on the shaft is actually quite nice and tight. That's good. So it could be that all this slack I'm feeling is actually that brass ball fitting in the cup in here. Let's put some. Can you see in there? So, if I'm able to bring that cup further out this way, that will tighten up the bearing. There's no means of adjusting it. Back bearing. Now, if we see in the front, we'll take this off. Right. Yeah, it's got the same sort of cup bearing there, but it's a little bit, well, a little bit tighter here, but it certainly feels dry, and I think that putting a whole lot of oil in here will do it wonders. Here I was thinking these motors were absolutely stuffed, but no, they're not stuffed at all. Ah, hang on. There's 3 wings at the side there that this probably sits on. I've missed that. Okay, so let's do this again. In fact, I'll seat this down in here and then put this in. And yeah, so there's 3 wings that it sits in. That's, I obviously didn't have that seated in there. Right, give it some more oil. Right, so something to be aware of is to make sure that you might just see there's a little black 3-winged thing that sits in the slots. Got to make sure that that's there. Oh, actually, I just noticed that. Oh, it's more than just that. Oh, no, there's. The wings actually don't just do that. They sit in. There's more. But wait, there's more. Right, let's take this off. What it is right. The brass ball goes down. Okay. Then the oil ring, and then the 3-winged thing. But not only does it go into its slots, but also you spin it around to ensure that it goes into these little slots in the walls of the hole. Not sure how I'm going to do that. Okay, right. Actually, I think this is why the whole thing failed. I just realised, yeah, this little 3-winged washer not only has to sit down in there, but it also has to slide into the walls, and it actually is now a complete thing that's holding the whole brass bush in there nice and tight. So that will absolutely prevent the shaft from flopping around. So I reckon what happened is that 3-winged washer came loose. I reckon that's all it is. Right. So what that means is that the foam oil holders and the 3-wing sort of steel washer and the bronze bush are totally fixed at both ends. So you do those first, and the actual armature that goes back in, the only thing that it really needs to have on it is there's a little white plastic thing on each end, plus on the rear end there's a little rubber thing with a steel washer on it. So, right, let's put that back in. Oh, you see that's spinning nice now. Oh, and you can see this one here, it's got the 3-winged washer. The other end is exactly the same, and you can just see that the 3 wings slot into the side of the housing. Right, put this on. but there's no side float, so it goes in and out by quite a bit. Now, do I try and adjust that out? The only way to do that would be to put a washer here, which I might just actually do. I'll see if I can find one. Of course, I've got to leave a little bit of end float. You can't have it dead tight, but around about 1/2 millimetre would be, I think, ideal. Putting it back together, I noticed one of the screws on the front didn't have the spacer, but oh well, not to worry. Yeah, okay. Alright, I'll do the same thing to this one, and I'll get back when it's finished. I only paid $200 for this. It wasn't working, and so I think once I fix these motors, I think it'll be good to go, really. Quite a nice, compact, cheap machine. May or may not keep it. Okay, I'll put the counter belt back on. This is really good now. So I'm going to do the right hand side now, and I do have to pull the whole motor out. It's the only way to do what I have to do. Just quickly, yes, the right hand one, it's the same deal. The 3-pronged washer has come adrift. When I pulled it straight out, it just came straight out. It wasn't locked into the base of the motor as it should be. So it's the same deal. And the brass sleeve that sits on the shaft, that's nice and snug, so it should be really good when it's finished. I'll carry on. Both ends of the motor, and ensured that the 3-prong washer is clipped into behind the points where it's meant to be, so it's solid in there, and it actually rotates on the shaft, not the actual bush itself. The bush doesn't move. So put it back together now. Okay, I'm using a set square to just hopefully line up the distance out of the reels, and it's always a bit of a guess, I think, but as far as I can gather, I just simply take into account the thickness of the one side of the reel, and that should do it. Well, that's a bit of a success. Excellent. Well, I'll put the case and everything back on now, and might give the heads another clean while I've got it here. And I was playing around with the end float, and I shouldn't have really. The thing is, forget about the end float. It's around about 1 millimetre, but that's fine. I was trying to get it to be tighter, but it doesn't like it at all. It binds and doesn't turn properly. I suspect these motors aren't very strong. They're and it has a bit of trouble getting over that friction. But with a little bit of end float, and the shafts got no wobble in them whatsoever now. They're terrific. Yeah, it's all because in the back bearing on both of them, the little triangular washer wasn't seated properly. That's the only reason why the shafts were wobbling to buggery. That's the only reason. So I put them back together, bit of oil, made sure that Trident washer in the back was set in properly, and it's great. So keep that in mind, that to repair these motors isn't as bad as you might think.